How does a 12-year-old from Sunderland end up meeting Brian Clough to start with?
I mean, I think he liked people with big goofy teeth. I had like massive front teeth. We were just nice kids. I mean, weirdly nice kids, but not nice kids because of the background that we had.
What was your background, if you don't mind me asking, mate?
Well, we lived in probably the roughest part of Sunderland, which was Southwick, and we only lived there because we got evicted from the second roughest part. My mum got divorced when I think I was 2 or 3, but the earliest memory I've got is of my dad smashing a mirror over, my real dad this is, smashing a mirror over my mum's head and us being in the streets crying, getting carted off by social services. So I was in a home from the age of 2 to nearly 4. My brother's 4 years older than me, so obviously he's 6. And my sister was 4 at the time, but they separated us from her. So over 18 months, I didn't even get to see my sister. Then eventually we got reunited. My mum made a genius decision to marry a black Jamaican Geordie drug dealer, which up in Sunderland was frowned upon, but not as much as the fact he was a Newcastle fan.
You can let half of it off, but not the Newcastle
it's like
bit.
he's all right, but nah, come on, stop that. And also he was a hard man, so he never ever kept his head down. You know, there was always trouble at our door. I was incessantly bullied. Used to get called the N lover, beaten up on my way to school every day, you know, literally just for no reason other than my stepbrother Aaron, who I never called stepbrother, by the way. So from now on, when I talk about dad and brother, it's my stepdad and my stepbrother.
Yeah.
My stepbrother was mixed race. And he wasn't the kind of lad who stuck around and fought. So he would get into trouble, and I'm only skinny as a rake, but I had this thing inside of me where if you were fighting one of us, you fighting us all. So even though I couldn't fight, I tried, which invariably led to me getting the shit kicked out of me, going home with, you know, a spilled sugar bag or something like that, and then getting the shit kicked out of me at home because I dropped the sugar. So it's just a really, really tough life. I mean, we were very well below the poverty line. Lots of times where our electricity's cut off, no water, no food for 4 or 5 days. And my dad would very often, my dad used to like a drink as well as smoking and selling cannabis. Very often my dad would beat my mum and we'd end up in a battered wives' home. Or again, back in children's homes because they couldn't cope with us. So that was our upbringing.
Yeah. Like you said, the times as well, being in that mixed race relationship with your mum, I imagine the racism being a lot more prevalent than it is today.
Yeah, so there's like, you know, 3 or 4 things that really stand out as a kid, not to me. But I remember once my sisters answered the door on a Friday night, and again, my dad's had some bother in town or something like that. My sisters answered the door on a Friday night, and there's this youth just baseball batted her, broke her leg for being an N lover, the daughter of an N lover. There's been a time where we've gone to Alnwick. You might remember, you'll know Alnwick being from Peterlee, Alnwick Castle. That for us is like going to the Bahamas, you know, it's a proper beautiful day out. We've come back, the house has been burgled. There's NF slogans daubed all over the
National
wall.
Front.
Inhuman shit all over the wall. Everything in the house destroyed. And about a week later, there's riots in Southwick where the kids on the streets have hijacked a bus, set bins on fire, and then there's just a massive riot. And our house has been petrol bombed. So there's, you know, it was bad. It was really, really bad.
Did you like football?
I only started playing football after I met Brian. Purely, I couldn't. I mean, again, I'm one of those. I developed pretty late, but I remember being at the junior school and it's like Plemper, Jackman, Webster, Quinn, Julie, Denise. For fuck's sakes, I'll have Bromfield then. I get picked after the lasses. It was like that.
You like Billy Casper?
Yeah, but then, you know, very, very quickly, I mean, and this is probably down to both Nigel and Scott Gemmell, but I'd go training with, let's not get too far ahead, but they basically taught me how to play. And as soon as I met Brian, I just fell in love with the game. Literally fell in love with it and was out.
So like geographically, obviously Nottingham, Sunderland, how did you get to Nottingham.
So this is where it starts. And I've said already, we used to do anything we could to make money. And one of those things that we did was we used to go penny for the guy in, where we'd make a guy out of, I was going to say old clothes, but actually the guy was smarter than us. So we'd make a guy and we'd stand outside pubs just asking the drunk people for money, a penny for the guy, mister. And one night we discovered the Seaburn Hotel, which is just literally opposite the beach, and the Forest team was staying there. And the night's surreal because we shouldn't have gone. I explained this, everything's a massive coincidence because we weren't meant to be going. We had this rule where we couldn't go until 2 weeks before, because if you went out any earlier, it would just piss people off. And they'd like, what you're doing, it's too early. And this night was 2 weeks and 1 day before, but it was a Friday night. So Aaron said, look, most of the people get paid tonight. And again, those times, you get your pay in a brown envelope. You get out on a Friday night. If
you're entrepreneurial ragamuffins, really, aren't you?
Yeah,
you're thinking about when people are getting paid and making the most of it.
This is how Darren was just. I mean, he was off the scale genius, but also we were lovely little kids, but it was done for manipulation. We knew we were being cute, but we weren't being cute because we were cute. We were being cute because that's going to help us.
Yeah.
And Darren was like that. Darren used to teach us how to behave in front of everybody to maximise our chances of getting something off him, to maximise our chance of not getting caught off the store detectives, stuff like that. So anyway, Aaron's basically said, look, Friday night, let's go down. We had some bother with a skinhead who used to come around pretty much every year and just cause trouble with us. And this night, we've only got one guy, and there's only me and Aaron. Aaron's at the back, I'm at the front, so there's no escape for people. They can't get out either way.
What the one who's not got the guy then? Just penny for the guy round the front?
Yeah, we haven't, literally, but you haven't got a guy. Honest, mister, I have gone to see my brother around the corner. And that's the thing, I wrote about it, I knew it wasn't going great because nobody had come round to say your brother sent me. So I'd made about 12 pence. Aaron had made probably 3 or 4 pence. And this is at the poshest hotel in Sunderland, the tight bastards. And this skinhead's come, and he usually tried to either take all of our money or just kick the guy all over the street. And he just triggered something in me. He's gone something like, where is everybody? And I said, I'm nervous that he's going to fight with me again. So I'm saying, no, they're round the back and they're coming now. So if there's 4 of them, he won't pick on me. And then he's turned around and he said, and where's that little bastard? And I've gone, so what that he's black? And he's not a bastard, he's got a dad. And the lad just turned around and started hoofing into me. 2 lads came out of the Indian restaurant behind us, started chasing him off. And as they've done that, there's 4 or 5 Forest players coming along the seafront. They've caught up with us and lads, what are you doing? Is everything okay? We've explained what we're doing. I had no idea who it was. I honestly thought it was the Sunderland basketball team. Aaron's they've got a tree on the pocket. So they've gone into they gave us 150 between them. So the night's obviously turned around pretty sharpish already.
You don't mind taking a run and Keating for 150, do you?
Well, I've got the 150 in my sock just in case he comes back. And then Aaron's gone, look, let's get off the front just in case he comes back. We'll both go around the back. We've gone around the back, and there's a fella called Kenny Swain. All the players have gone out for a walk, and Kenny's just come back in by himself. And I've said to him, mister, my brother thinks you're the Sunderland basketball team, which obviously I thought they were. And he turned around and said, no, son. He said, we're a football team. We're Nottingham Forest. We're playing Newcastle tomorrow. And I'm like, Newcastle. I said, my brother and dad support them, but I hate them. And he looked at me and I said, I don't mean I hate my dad and my brother, I hate Newcastle. And he's had a little chuckle, and I said, look, you got a penny for the guy? And he's patted his pockets, said, I've got no change, which everybody used to do. I'll come back down in a couple of minutes. And we thought we'd never see him again. He came back down about 5 minutes later, gave us a £5 on his own.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
A £5, literally, yeah. And then we've asked him for the autographs, and he's gone back in, got a few of the players' autographs, Peter Davenport, Bryn Gunn, Johnny Metcod, people like that, but a lot of them had gone to bed. So he's like, and I didn't know who he was. I didn't ask him his name or anything. Yeah, so he's gone, look, lads, most of them have gone to bed, but if you want, you can come back in the morning and get the rest of the players' autographs. Again, probably think they'd never see us. I've gone home and I've got my Panini album out, Panini 84, looking to see if I can, because you can't read the signatures. Sure, you are the same, you know, when you sign, it's just like as fast as you can. But I could make out Kenny, and I've just gone through and I've looked, and it's like, he's the only Kenny in the Forest page, so it must be him.
You matched up the photograph from seeing him?
Well, we didn't have a photograph. I mean, I couldn't
in
really
the sticker book?
Yeah, I couldn't afford the stickers. I only used
you just had to put
the name underneath.
I used to get my mates swaps. That's how I used to fill the book. Like once my mates got a swap, they'd give it over to me. So I'm like, the only sticker I had in the book was in the Forest page was the badge.
Right.
Little silver shiny thing. So anyway, I'm looking at that, and then I'm like, he's give us a $5. We've already got most of the autographs. There's no point going back down, do you know what I mean? And again, it's Aaron who said, look, let's get down. We were down there like 7 o'clock in the morning waiting for them on the beach. Freezing cold October morning, October the 20th, 1984. He shouted me over. I thought he'd found something. I thought he'd found a quid. He shouted me over and he started pointing. And he's like, look. And Aaron's just pointed to one bloke with a purple jacket with his collar up. And he's gone, that's Brian Clough. And I've gone, who? And he's gone, it's Brian Clough. He's a really famous football manager. Go and ask him if Kenny's up. But he shouts a lot. And I'm like, what? Walked up to him. Morning, Mr. Clough. Can you tell me, is Kenny Swain up yet, please? And he's like, wait, Mr. Clough. He said, Mr. Clough. He said, good lad. He said, does your mum tell you to call me Mr. Clough? And I said, yeah, until we get to know you better, we've got to call you Mr. Clough. And he's like, wait, get to know me better, you cheeky little shit. And he's like, right, what can I do for you? Why do you need Kenny? And we explained the story from the night before. And he's looking us up and down. He's like, bloody hell, where's your coats? It's freezing. Does your mum know you're here? And you look like you haven't had anything to eat for like a couple of weeks. Come with me. You can come into the hotel. We'll get you some breakfast. We'll get you the rest of the players' autographs. And then you can off back home and everybody's happy. And that's exactly what we did. We went in the hotel. We had breakfast. Players all sat around like, what is going on here? You know, who are these two? We were explaining now we met Kenny the night before. Kenny's thinking, oh, God, what do I got myself in for? And just making them laugh, like laughing and joking. They're watching whatever it is, BBC Focus, Sports Focus or Football Focus on the Saturday morning before the game. Kenny's just come up to us after about 20 minutes, half an hour and said, listen, the gaffer thinks you relax the players. Do you want to come to the game with us on the bus? We'll take you to the game. We'll give you tickets. You'll have to come home by yourself. But, you know, do you fancy coming to the game? So we went to the Newcastle game. It finished 1-1. We left after like 65 minutes. It was that cold. And again, we didn't have jackets.
Coats.
And I felt guilty because we hadn't stayed to say thank you. You know, we left early. They'd gone all the way out the way to give us those tickets. They'd left early. So the next morning, I wrote a letter to Brian, Mr. Brian Clough, manager, care of Nottingham Forest Football Club, blah, 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 blah. And just wrote him a letter saying, listen, thanks very much. It was incredible what you did. We really loved meeting you. Thanks for giving us such a special day.